Are you considering starting a fence company, or maybe you just are getting started and you feel like it's impossible to compete against the bigger fence companies? In this video, I'm going to show you how that's not only not true, but how you can use it to your advantage. But make sure you stick around, because at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the ways that they will beat you, so that way you can see how you can start to improve, so that way you don't lose jobs to the big companies. Number one is, with being a smaller company, you're a lot more nimble. So you're able to make changes very quickly. If things are coming up, you can make these adjustments. This is our process. And especially for companies that have been around for 10 plus years, at this point, if they've been in business for 10 plus years, what life was like and what the expectations of the homeowners were like and everything else 10 years ago versus today is just completely different. Things that were important to the homeowners now versus back then, you could get away with a lot of stuff back then versus now, right? Whereas now people want more customized service. They want things that are much easier and faster. Things as far as making it easier to do scheduling appointments. So if you can make it easier for the homeowner, you're gonna end up blowing the big companies out of the water, because again, they're stuck in their ways. So add some kind of functionality onto your website or whatever it may be. Different CRMs have this functionality now. You can use things like Calendly and things like that, where you can immediately book it on your schedule. So the next way that a smaller company can compete with the much larger ones is the personalized level of service. So chances are, if you are just starting out or you have a smaller company, more than likely, you as the owner, you're probably the one going out to the estimates, right? So this is where you're building a relationship one-on-one with the homeowner. Just to schedule a quote, they're talking to someone else. Now when they go and the person comes out, it's a salesperson. So when the salesperson goes out, they're only trying to sell them the job. Whereas you as the homeowner can be more of a consultation approach, where you're trying to really find out why they need the fence, what issues they're going through and things like that. And maybe just, I don't know, give a shit. Crazy idea, right? Whereas the salesperson, they're just looking at here's the job, here's the money, I'm getting that money. And they're gonna say whatever they can just to book the job, right? Because if they don't sell the job, they're not paying their bills, right? So they're just gonna sell whatever they want. When you come out, that's not the case all the time. So this is where you can really go into it. It's look, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, because at the end of the day, this is a very expensive purchase. And the last thing I want you to do is, number one, I know you really don't want to spend money on a fence, right? No one in their right mind wants to spend thousands of dollars for some plastic or some wood in their backyard. You're spending all this money to fix a problem. And I want to make sure that when you spend this money, that problem is fixed. So the next thing that will set you apart from the larger competitors is that you can focus more on the quality versus the quantity of the jobs, right? So a lot of times, again, as the big companies, they segregate everything. So you have a person answering the phone calls, you have a person that's going out to the estimates, and then you have a separate group of people that are doing the installations, right? So then what ends up happening is, most of the time, and I actually suggest people do this, right? But this is a way you can sell against this, is a lot of the times these bigger companies are using subcontractors. So some of the times, if they don't have the right subcontractors, what'll end up happening is they, whatever the homeowner discussed with the salesperson and versus what the people that are installing the fence, they're usually not even on the same page, right? Because a lot of times, and it's not really the subcontractor's fault, it's really the company's fault that doesn't put all the communication in for this subcontractor. But again, this happens because they send out a sales rep that only gives a shit about making the sale and collecting that deposit. They don't care about the things after the fact, because it doesn't make them any money. So this is where you can really focus on the quality, because you're the one answering the phone, you're the one going out to the estimate, you're the one installing that fence. And so that way, again, you can sell it as look, you're not meeting with 3 different people. I'm the person that answers the phones. I'm the person that shows up to your house for the estimates. And then I'm the person that installs fence. So I know what the hell's going on. Whereas these other companies, they have no clue. So what ends up happening is you book with them, they send out their installers, but you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna have the same exact conversation you're having now with those installers. So you're basically training their team on what to do. You're almost like the project manager. Whereas like if you hire us, I'm the project manager because that's my job. I'm supposed to make your life easier, not more difficult. And then also sometimes what happens is because the salesperson tells you whatever you want to hear versus what I'm doing, is that when the installers come out and you tell them, you basically train them on what you want to happen, there's a good chance that they're like, I can't do that. Or this material is not going to work or whatever. So if you don't want that, that's why you should go with my company. Again, this is just random stuff that I'm thinking of off the cuff, but you get the idea. You can custom tailor this thing to yourself. Now let's talk about the ways that the big companies are gonna win against you, okay? Number one is the communication, okay? So because typically as the owner, you're answering phone calls, emails, doing the estimates, you're going out to the jobs, like you're doing everything. It makes it really difficult to be able to answer the phone calls or answer the emails or text messages immediately. And this is a way that the large companies are going to be able to beat you because they have someone dedicated to that. So you need to find a way to be able to answer these phone calls and emails and everything else as quickly as you can. This is something I am working on behind the scenes, so it's not going to be ready anytime soon, probably in the next few months, but this is where we're going to be introducing different AI chatbots and also like an AI employee for you guys. So that way you can have someone answer the phone calls and emails and text messages for you and answer basic questions, schedule appointments and things like that. So stay tuned for that, okay? The other way that they're gonna beat you is their installation times. So these bigger fence companies, especially if they're using subs or they have multiple teams, they might be able to pump out jobs extremely quickly because instead of just a one team, they might have three. So then it gives them the flexibility to get these jobs in faster. So if you're currently booked at like 5 and 6 weeks, but these bigger companies are 2, you need to figure out a way to get these jobs installed a hell of a lot faster. And you're probably thinking at this point, you literally can't take on anymore because you're already answering the phone calls, the emails, you're doing the estimates and everything else. And it's like, Joe, how can I possibly do that? And I understand, like I was there as well. And it just got to the point where I went to my wife, which she had a full-time job. And I'm like, dude, I need your help. And she's like, it's not even an option. Like, I need your help. Like, I can't even answer the phone calls. I can't do anything. Like it was spring rush. And so anyway, she started helping me out little by little. And then it just, over time, it got to the point where she was actually running the company for me. So beyond that, you got to look at what you're spending most of your day on, and not, like chances are it's installations. So number one, I would highly suggest getting out of that as soon as you possibly can. Now this could be by hiring more employees or hiring an employee, things like that. Especially in the beginning, I don't even suggest that. Now I know before I talked about how you can compete against large companies because they use subs and things like that. That being said, I'm suggesting you use a sub because at this point, if you're spending 40 hours a week installing, if you can get that off of your plate, that means you're going to be able to answer the phone calls, the emails, you're going to be able to go out to more estimates and things like that. And it'll also give you the flexibility that these companies have. The only thing that you're going to do differently is that you're going to set up these subcontractors for success. You're not going to be the typical salesperson that just tells the homeowner what they're going to, like whatever they want to hear. You're going to make sure that what you said you can do, these subs can do, and the material and everything else, right? The other thing that you're going to do is make sure that you detail every step of the process for the subs. Where are the gates going? Where's the fence starting? How far does it go out? Things like that. Now this will be another video that I do, and it's a video on what my company used to do for our subcontractors. It's what allowed us to have 3 different subs going out a day, and it didn't matter that the homeowner was home or not. Didn't matter if they can get in touch with us or not, because we documented everything down to like anything that they possibly could need to know in documents. And so that way they could show up, they could install the fence, and there was no issue. Now, this wasn't like a one and done situation. We kept on reiterating this process over and over and over again until we got to exactly where we needed to be. So I'll do that in a follow-up video. And honestly, those are the two main things. If you can improve the communication as quickly as you possibly can, and delay or decrease the amount of lead time for your installation, if you do those two things, there's almost no way that a larger company is going to compete against you. Now, that being said, you also want to look at what they're doing. So how are your reviews? Do you have your website? Do you have these different things? If you don't have like the bare basics, it's also going to make your life more difficult. And if you haven't started with reviews whatsoever at this point, number one thing I would do is make sure, number one, get on Google My Business. So make sure you get registered, make sure you get on there. And before you get any reviews, because once you start, like, you're going to have none, make a review from yourself. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying make a spam review or a fake review or anything like that. Literally make a review that is just like, hey, this is Joe, the owner, and we have customers that are going to be putting in reviews, but before that, I just want to introduce myself and blah. It's exactly what I did when I first started my company, because I knew one review with a 5-star versus no reviews whatsoever helps tremendously. And then I was able to get reviews after the fact. So focus on those things. So again, focus on what you can do versus the larger companies, and then also start looking at what they're doing better than you. And it's usually the communication and the installation times, and start working around that. And again, one of the number one ways that'll help you with a lot of your business is just going right to the subcontractor route, because at that point you don't have to train employees, you don't have to worry about getting paying them when they're not installing, you don't have to worry about extra insurance, you don't have to worry about all this stuff. So try that out. I promise you, it's like, honestly, it was the best decision I personally made as a business owner, is going right to the subcontracting route. We even follow that model in our business now. We have our delivery team that is actually my mechanic that I've been using for years, because he has 4 tow trucks, he's got 3 drivers and things like that. So I don't have to worry about like scheduling the deliveries. We just tell them all the deliveries and then they just take care of them. We don't have to worry about trucks breaking down. We don't have to worry about maintenance. We don't have to worry about additional costs. It's just one fixed cost, and we just pass that on to the contractor anyway. And it makes it very consistent and everything else. So it works really well. So anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Bye.